I've always wanted to share this game with people on my YouTube channel, and I've never taken the time to do it. But this is my favorite game of all time. It is Master of Orion 2 Battle at Antares, or Antares, whatever you want to call it. And let's start by checking out the intro video that greets you when you start the game up. So Microprose made this game, of course.
This is Alpha Niner,
Here we go.
Science Station Hermes. Alpha Niner, this is Science Station Hermes. We read 555. Roger, Hermes. All cleared. Sector Gamma Delta 4. Request clearance for landing.
Keep in mind this came out
Alpha Niner, you are cleared for landing.
in 1996, so 22 years ago.
Station control, synced and locked.
Hence the sort of low-res CGI animation, but it gets the story across, I think.
Alpha Niner, be advised Zulu Command when you're ready for debriefing. Roger, control.
Sir, reading an Antares battlecruiser in Sector 7. Alert status. Clear weapon interlocks. Alert Zulu Command to our situation.
Oh man, here we go. The Antarans. I just call them Antarans, but Antarans. That's some intergalactic squad goals.
Alpha Niner, scramble. Roger, control.
Alright, they got this, don't worry about it. This guy can take him down.
Moving into attack position, beginning my run now.
Or it gets one-shotted, but you know, whatever.
Sir, we lost Alpha 9. Divert full power to shields. Scramble already cracked. Shields down to 80%, sir. Stay on those shields. I need full power. Shields down to 60%. 50% and dropping. Launch emergency distress beacon now.
So, we will find ourselves facing the Antarans at some point, and we're gonna get wrecked, but we'll do what we can. So this is the load screen for Master of Orion 2 Battle at Antares, and it really is one of my favorite games. I played this for the first time when I was a kid, I don't know, maybe 8 years old, 10 years old, something like that, and I play it still pretty frequently. There's not a lot of settings here, but you can see we're version 1.40B23. This is actually a version that was released, I think, by a third party, not from the original developers. I think the developers ended at like 1.3, 1.31, 1.36. But I'm playing this through Steam, so it's available on Steam. I think Green Man Gaming, GOG.com. And one of the cool things about this game, this is a 4X game, and 4X is let's see if I can remember this. Explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. So the goal of the game is to explore the world, expand your empire, take advantage of the other races, and exterminate them eventually. So our goal is to basically wipe everyone out, more or less. And there's different difficulties, galaxy sides, etc. I usually play on hard, but the difficulties go all the way up to from tutor to impossible. I've won on impossible, but I feel like you have to take advantage of some mechanics in the game that I don't really find that fun. So for today I just want to do average, and galaxy size I tend to like the cluster or large or huge even, but I'm going to do a medium. Galaxy age we're going to do average. This defines whether the planets you encounter will be nutrient rich, such as this, organic rich, or more mineral rich. So mineral rich of course is better for productivity, building new things, and organic rich is better for food population, growth, etc. And let's do, you can go up to 8 players. And you can do this over a local area network, but let's do 4 players. So it'll be us and 3 enemies. And tech level I like to start generally on average. We'll go to average galaxy age also. So this is pretty standard settings in my opinion. We definitely want tactical combat enabled, random events I like, and Antaran's attack. Let's do it, even though it's a little painful to be entirely honest. Now there are, let's see, what is it? 13 races? I never actually counted. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 races. And you can make a custom race, which is like a mixture of the features of these other races. Now, some of these races, in my opinion, are much stronger than other ones, and they all have kind of unique qualities. The Cylons, for example, are very intelligent, and they're very research-focused, and they do a great job of picking up a lot of different research a lot of different research in the various tech trees. Well, I'll explain that later on. On the other hand, the Klakons are actually what we call uncreative, and they're rather bad at picking up new research, and they tend to focus more on just being highly productive. So they have a high food and productivity output, but they're uncreative, so you're limited on your research choices. I don't really like the Klakons too much. I always find humans are kind of boring. They're charismatic and have a democracy-based government, but I think for this one I want to go with the Alkari. So the Alkari have higher ship defense, so it's going to be harder for enemies to hit our ships in combat. They have an artifacts homeworld, which gives them a research advantage. They have higher research output from their population on their homeworld, and a dictatorship, which is sort of your standard government. So the Alkari are kind of middle of the road, in my opinion, and they were actually one of the races available, I believe, in the original Master of Orion, if I remember correctly, which I think only had 6 or 7 races. Now I should mention, enter ruler name. Let's go with Soupa. And we get to pick our color, which doesn't really mean anything in-game besides differentiating from the other colors. Green and blue are some of my favorite colors. Let's go with green. So we generate the homeworld, place planets, etc. And Altair is the name of the Alkari homeworld, so we'll accept that. Now, this game has a lot going on in it, so I'm going to walk you through it a little. I apologize for the slow pace, but to be entirely honest, one of the reasons why I like this game is largely to do with the fact that it's a slow-paced game. So I tend to like slow, kind of relaxing games, just the way I guess I tend to be. And for the most part, I mean, I do play first-person shooters, and I'm decently good at them. But so let's get started. So this is turn 1. You can see on the right we have these various indicators here, which will tell us all sorts of things about our economy. We have the treasury window, which tells us how much income we're making per turn. So all income is measured in BC. We currently have 50 BC in our treasury, let's say in our bank, and every turn we'll get 8 more BC. So this is a turn-based game. So in the bottom right, if I click the turn button, it will advance us to the next turn, and we'll gain 8 BC to our treasury. As we go down here, this is a command points window. I'm not going to show this very long. Basically, the more ships we have, the more command points we need to control those ships. If we don't have enough command points, we have to start paying out of our turn-by-turn income to compensate. It gets expensive quickly. We have our food window, and this is just net food. So we have 0 net food, so that means we're making exactly enough food to feed our current population, no more, no less. We have a freighter list here, and freighters are useful because they show you how many you're currently using and how many more you have available. But basically, a freighter can transport food between colonies. So if on one planet we have excess food, but on our other planet we don't have enough food, we have freighters that can transport 1 unit of food each to compensate. So they have some use. And then the research window is where it gets very interesting. So the research window is where the game really, to me, is really exciting. So let's go into the research window. For the first turn, we haven't picked any research objectives yet, but what we can do is every turn we can devote our research points, which are these little RPs, towards discovering something in one of these fields. And so oftentimes what I like to do early on is work on advanced engineering in the top left, and I usually get reinforced hull. So reinforced hull, as it explains on screen, triples the structural integrity of our ship. So it allows for a ship to take essentially 3 times as much damage before it's going to blow up, which is actually very powerful. So it's a really useful thing in a lot of ways, and I prefer it to the other 2 choices. You only get one of these 3 choices unless you're the Cylons, which I mentioned earlier are the race that are very good at research, and when they choose one of these 3 items, they actually learn all 3 at the same time. So they have a huge advantage in terms of how much research they can take in, whereas all the other races really are limited to 1 of the choices from each tier. So we'll go with reinforced hull. Now, the other thing to mention about reinforced hull, if we click on construction, we can actually see there's this entire list here, just under construction, that goes all the way down to this Artemis system net and the Doomstar construction, which is really cool stuff when you get that far in the game. But early on, you start off with just this advanced engineering. Now, I like reinforced hull because if we pick this, the next tier up gives us an option for automated factories, and automated factories are a very powerful tool to improve your economy, and you can generate more production very quickly with it. So I really like to get to automated factories early on, and then I kind of diverge away from the construction tree for a while. So we're going to start with the reinforced hull. Now, before we go to our next turn, we're setting things in place right now for the turn. You can see this is our world, this is our planet view. So we're in the planet right now. And one thing we can see is that, this is Altair 2, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little people on here. And these 8 people represent a population of 8 million, so each one of these is a million colonists. We have 4 people dedicated to food production, 2 dedicated to productivity on the planet, and 2 dedicated to research. If we click on this little research icon, it shows the scientists are generating 6 units of research on their own, and 4 more from that artifact homeworld bonus that I mentioned earlier, which is pretty nice. So this is all denoted by these little symbols here, right? So we have 6 units of production, which is represented by 6 pickaxes, and we have 10 units of research, which are actually, once you get to 10 units, it changes to a microscope like this. So otherwise, it's little test tubes for a single unit of research. Anyway, what we want to do here is set up our build production. So our units right now, these 2 guys aren't really doing anything. In our top right little box here, we're not building anything. And it'd be good to build something. And so usually, all I really do would put us on housing, and this converts production into colony growth. So our planet has 8 million people right now, but on the left we can see there's 8 out of 12, so we actually can fit another 4 million colonists on here. So the more production we have, the more people we will have growing if we have housing as our target. However, honestly, getting more research is more important to me right now, so we're going to double up our research and put 2 more colonists on here for 20 total research. So we're generating 20 research points per turn. Now if we go back to our main screen here, in the bottom right, you can see it says it'll take about 7 turns for these 20 research points to generate the completion of the 80 research point goal. Now, that seems a little odd, right? If we have 80 research points as our goal and we're making 20 a turn, it should take 4 turns. There's a little bit of variability at the end. Once you've gotten all the research points, there's still a % chance that it doesn't complete, and we'll see how that goes as we progress through our turns. Now finally, what I want to do is explore these other stars. Now if we click on this yellow star here, it says the star system is unexplored. I'd like to see what's going on here, as well as this blue-white star. And there are some differences of blue-white stars here versus yellow stars. There's more likely chances you'll find, for example, high mineral density planets, or high organic rich planets, or really barren cruddy planets, depending on the color of the star. I'm not a good enough player to care about that. So what we're going to do is we start the game with 2 scouts and a colony ship. I like to send my scouts to different planets each, so they can both check stuff out. I'll send one up here and one down here, and then we'll have one go to the middle one in a little bit. In fact, I'm going to change that one to go to here, and then we'll explain why in a moment. We don't want to send our colony ship. Sometimes these planets have hostile monsters already there, and we don't want them to kill our scout, and our colony ship shouldn't die, but I like to save it and hold it back anyway. So we press turn 1, and that's it. It just instantly loads. Turn 1 is complete, nothing happened. Sometimes a news summary will pop up if something interesting occurs. Nothing happened for us. So turn 2, let's go. When we arrived at the SoupaSoka system, and there's nothing here. There's just an asteroid belt. You can't live on that, and nothing else, no planets, so it's kind of a boring planet. There is, though, this wormhole, this gray line, which is an instant 1-turn teleport across the galaxy to that star. So let's explore it, although, to be honest, I'm nervous about these wormholes, because if I find a good planet over there and I move my colony ship there and take over one of those planets, I'm kind of separated from my main homeworld, and it's going to be hard to defend both of these planets at the same time. So I tend to not colonize distant wormhole planets unless there's a really good planet there. Okay, so we arrived at the Pipiri system, which is this orange star at the top, and sometimes certain things will happen. In this case, we found some debris that was here. We got 50 BC, which really isn't very much, but early on in the game, 50 BC is kind of considerable, so that could be useful later on. And now if we look at the planets, we see Pipiri 1 is a medium-sized radiated planet, 4-person max population, it's ultra poor, and it's low G. So if we right-click on it, what that means is that being low G, we're actually going to get a maintenance penalty and a worker penalty, which means something that would take, 4 turns to complete, or 10 turns to complete would now take, about 12 or 13 turns. So the low gravity actually hurts us because we're not a race that's adapted to low gravity. The industry per worker is only 1, which is very low. and the food output is 0. Now that's because radiated planets you can't farm on. Not yet. We get technology for that later. And being ultra poor means that the mineral density is very low, so the worker productivity is very low. So this is a pretty bad planet. Now on the other hand, we have Pipiri 2. It's a medium-sized planet, so it has 9 max population. It's arid, which is not great, but better than radiated. It means we get 1 food output per farmer. And it's a normal gravity, which is much better, and it's abundant, which is much better. So normal gravity means no maintenance penalties, and industry per worker is 3 instead of 1, because it is an abundant mineral planet. So this is a good one. I would strongly consider taking this planet in a moment. But over here at Irem, which is the wormhole planet, there's actually a really good one here. So this one's radiated again. Probably not gonna. I'm gonna skip it for now. This is a medium Terran, 12 max population, rich. So it holds more people than the other planets. It has twice the food output, much higher industry per worker, and the same research per scientist. This is actually a really nice planet. So I think we're going to move over here and take it. We're going to start heading towards that. It's a little scary early on. We're going to have to rely on diplomacy to make sure no one else comes and kills us, but we'll see what we can do. So, taking our turns, we're getting close to completing our research down here. This percentage is kind of the chance of it succeeding each turn. And we did get the breakthrough there. So we hit the 25%, and we got this reinforced hull, which is great. We're not going to use it right now, but soon. Now we're going to work on automated factories, and we'll get those up and running pretty soon, hopefully. And we've got everyone here at Sulcus. I wanted to wait for my other scout. The scouts aren't great, but if we look at the system, or the scout itself, they do have a single laser cannon on them. The laser cannon is the lowest of low weapons, but it is better than nothing. Colony ships have nothing, and colonies have nothing this early in the game. So, I'm going to turn down the music a little bit. So a little extra weaponry is going to beat having none at all, at least. So we'll see how well that turns out for us. Let's move over there, and we're going to colonize. This is always one of my favorite parts. We have our colony ship, and we're going to land on Irem 3. It tells us again the stats. If we want to build a colony, I say yes. So here we go. Alright. Irem 3, Alkari colony, medium Terran, sorry. 12 total population, mineral rich, and normal gravity. And I don't usually name stars differently, so let's keep it. Irem 3, just colonize. Place your orders for future production. Well, the problem is, I'll show you this. If we move him off, put him here, we're not making any food anymore, so we're actually negative on food. So we really need to get some food up and running before we can do anything with this guy. And we want to build a marine barracks earlier on. So marine barracks, one of the things it says in the middle here is it eliminates the morale penalties for dictatorships and feudal governments. We are a dictatorship, so up here we actually have a minus 20% morale, which means we lose 20% productivity across the board. Whoops. So we're actually losing right here. We would produce 2 food, we actually lose 4/10 of a food, which is 20%, which doesn't actually impact us right now, but over time, that 20% will add up quite a bit. So we're gonna keep our guy here. We can't buy this outright. Instead of producing stuff, you can just spend your built-up BC towards buying production, but we don't have enough to buy this yet, unfortunately. So we're just gonna leave that guy on food for now. What we do want to do is over here, it would be nice to build 1 freighter fleet, which I may be able to buy. Nope, not yet. It'll take us 6 turns to build the freighter fleet. We know this because the freighter fleet takes 50 is the cost up at the top there, and we have a production of about 8, so it's going to take about 6 turns, which is what it says here on the right, 6 turns. So I'm moving everyone off of research, and we're focusing down the build for 6 turns there. Now while we're doing that, I want to send my scout to explore these other nearby planets. We can get an idea of maybe some other planets we want to colonize. The Kenyan star system here, pretty weak, ultra poor, low G, barren, so again no food production. And Tambiru has no planets. Now we can. Is there anything else we can explore here? We have 8 parsecs the distance. We don't have the technology yet to travel that far. So we do have this planet we can check out. Let's check out that one, or solar system, I should say, not planet. And then Kenyan, let's take a peek at what's down here, do another wormhole and see what we walk into. Zona, as a gas giant. You can't inhabit gas giants. Later in the game, you can actually convert gas giants into worlds if you have the technology for it. I don't have that yet, and I don't usually research that technology because it's not that useful. Oh, okay, cool. So Commander Valar, he is an independent trader. That's his title. So throughout the game, notable heroes can pop in and say, hey, will you hire me? If you pay me money, I will join your cause. And some of these people have very good skills that either help you, and they're kind of split into two groups, these leaders, either into colony leaders or ship officers. He's a ship officer, so he has traits like weaponry, which will, let's go in here, leaders, colony leaders on the left, ship officers on the right. Weaponry will, for example, increase the attack bonus of a ship, which is nice. It makes your ship attack a little bit better. And helmsman, for example, increases the defensive bonus of the ship. So we'll put him on one of our scouts, for example, and he will make that scout a little more formidable in combat. However, it takes 180 BC to hire him, and we only have 170, so we can't hire him. Now, early in the game, this guy's a really nice trait called Mega Wealth. So normally commanders charge you per turn to keep them on their payroll, and it's pretty minimal. Early on, maybe 1 to 5 BC, but by the end of the game it can be, dozens of BC or more, which adds up a lot. However, some of these, a very few subset of these officers have a trait called Mega Wealth, which means they don't require upkeep, so we don't have to pay them every turn, and they also contribute 10 BC to our empire. So once we pay them up front the 180, they'll give us 10 BC per turn just for keeping them. So after 18 turns, they'll repay us that 180 essentially, and after that, they're paying us money. So I tend to hire these guys as soon as I can early on in the game. Oh, Trethan 1, okay, so we picked up a Tiny Terran, 4 max pop, poor low G. Now, that's a pretty good planet for food output. It's not great for research, it's got poor mineral quality, but this might be our next target. Our freighter fleet is done. Okay, so the freighter fleet is done, so we go back to doing our research here, and we're going to send these guys back to our main base to protect it, or not our main base, but our new colony. And we also have now 181 BC. So let's hire our buddy here. Now if we go back, we'll see we're getting 18 BC per turn instead of 8, which is great. So now we're actually going to really start generating more BC, although we're very, very broke at the moment. And we do also, if we go to colonies, this is our summary of all of our colonies, which is really, really helpful. We see we have here 2 extra food and 5 freighters. Now if we take this guy off of Irem, who makes 3 food, and put him over here, we now have no extra food, only 4 freighters, but we're okay because the Altair 2 up here you can see is actually making 1 extra food. I'll click on it and show you. We're making this 1 extra food output. So actually I have 10, but they only need 9, which means that extra food now we've got the freighter fleet can actually just every turn automatically the freighter fleet will bring the food over to Irem 3 and feed our lonely worker out here. So that's kind of the way of managing this, sort of the micromanagement in a sense of our, yeah, that's like more the macro management. This is more the macro management of our colony system. Now, if you're still with me this far, I applaud you, because I know this is very, very slow paced, but later on I'm just clicking turns rapidly as I really develop things a bit more, but for now, the setup and explaining what I'm doing, it does take a little while. So, I'm just thinking we're at basically, right now we're really trying to get the automated factories, and we're just going to pass our turns relatively quickly otherwise. We're hoping for nothing too exciting to pop up, because we don't really want a lot to happen right now. We don't want other races to find us just yet. But now we have our automated factories. We went through a few turns there pretty quickly, and now we can start kind of diverging into other areas. We've got our construction, which is good. I'm not going to bother with construction for a little while. I want to do research laboratory, I think. It's tough because research lab allows us to generate more research points. So every research lab you have generates 5 research points on its own and increases each scientist output by 1 per scientist. But at the same time, something like this Dauntless Guidance system, this is used in combat, and what happens is when you fire a missile, this is automatically equipped to all your missile weapons. If they miss their target, or if their target dies when the missile is en route to the target, the missile will automatically retarget another enemy ship. It's actually really, really useful. But getting the research lab to me is really, really helpful early on. So what I want to do now is convert all my scientists over to an automated factory. And the other cool thing we can do is we put research points towards the marine barracks, but if we swap them, if we move the automated factory up, those points now get converted straight to the automated factory, which is really handy. And on the other hand, we can also just buy it. So if we click here on this little symbol on the right, we can spend 56 BC to buy the remaining production needed for it, which I'm going to do, because it's going to take a few turns and this will speed up that process quite a bit. So now, automated factory is complete. If we go back here, we can see we're now generating 5 productivity produced by the worker, 1 more from the automated factory for the bonus to the worker. We lose 1.2 productivity units due to the morale penalty because we don't have a marine barracks yet. I mentioned that a few minutes ago. And we have 5 more units generated by the automated factory. So we're getting about 10, exactly 10, I guess really is what it says here, units. And it takes about 60 to build a marine barracks, so in about 6 turns we'll be done. So that's honestly pretty nice getting it up and running. So let's pass these pretty quickly. And I'm not playing very well right now, to be honest. If someone has ever played this game before, they're going to catch a lot of mistakes I'm making, but I'm trying to kind of move it along for the sake of telling the story here. And this is close to how I would play it in a lot of ways. But now we've got, on our IRM3, we've got our morale benefit. So the government morale was down by 20%. Marine Barracks compensates for that, so we have no disadvantage or advantage morale-wise anymore. Later on, we can develop buildings that will improve our morale, which is actually pretty nice. Now, one of the other things I like to do is start designing a few little ships here. And this is the shipbuilding screen. So there's default ships you can build, right? Like the scout that we already saw. I'm actually going to clear all this. And one of the things I want to do is I want to take away the electronic computer. That improves your accuracy, a bonus to hit here, of beam weapons, like laser beams. The laser cannon, for example. We're not going to use that, though. We can see our nuclear drive is how fast our ship is and how fast it is in combat and on the world map. And our titanium armor shows how many structure and armor points our ships have. Now I'm going to name this the Nuclear 1. And we can change our little ship design here. I kind of like... Oh, what's the one that I like? I like this one. This is kind of a cool little design. Doesn't change anything combat-wise, but I just like the way it looks. And we have different weapons available to us. We can categorize them. We have bombs, which really aren't useful for what we're going to do. We have beam weapons with the laser cannon right now. And what I like is the missile, right? So I want to get a nuclear missile, and I'm just going to do a 2-shot. What that means is that you only can fire it for 2 turns. You fire it once, the next turn you fire it again, and you're all out. That's how much ammo you have, essentially. And what I want to do is stack that a little bit. Let's see, I think that'll work. So I increased it so now each turn when they fire, they'll fire 2 nuclear missiles at the same time. And it's not a great weapon, but it'll get us started, so at least we have something that can kind of compete, at least a little bit, hopefully. I'm just going to put one of these little guys up. I don't want to spend a lot of effort on him right now. We're going to do housing to try and max out our housing here, but we're going to go back to research again with our remaining workers. And what we're working towards is the research laboratory, which is going to be extremely helpful when we get to that point. Okay, our Nuclear 1 is done, and I think we can reasonably spend our time now on research in that colony. Our food production is a little bit high still, so I try and keep food production down. If I don't need the extra food production, I like to move people over to research as much as possible early on, or productivity for building something. Now we've got a research lab completed, and what do I usually like to do? I think I like biospheres. The hydroponic farm is very useful. If you build a hydroponic farm, it automatically gives that planet +2 food output, which is useful, but biospheres give you +2 population if you build them, and honestly, usually 1 or 2 population is going to be able to do more for you, especially later in the game, than 2 food output does early on. So I think I might go with thinking about this with biospheres, because we're almost maxed out on our Altair planet over there, and we can also possibly... Is that really what I want to do? I'm reconsidering this a little bit. I kind of want to be able to explore farther too, and the deuterium fuel cells allows us to do that. So you might have noticed earlier our ships can only go a certain amount of parsecs away. But if we get deuterium fuel cells, it allows us to travel farther. However, it's a lot of research, so let's stick with the biospheres for now. What I would like to do, I just realized I forgot to do something. I never explored this star system right here. Let's take a peek. Looks like it's called Python. So we got our biospheres completed, and I think I will... Fusion beam's nice. It's basically a better laser cannon, and it might be nice to have that. These upgrades, by the way. Oh, we got a pirate's cat. We got 100 BC just for discovering this solar system. That's pretty nice. One thing I haven't mentioned here, if we go to our planet here, you can see all the different buildings we put up, and unfortunately it's getting cropped off in a weird way. This is running through DOSBox and Steam, and it's kind of, I'm doing it in windowed mode. Full screen actually is fine, but in windowed mode it kind of crops the bottom a little bit there. But if we highlight this floating thing up here, you can't really see if it's a star base. The star base actually is kind of cool. It's an armed orbital platform, and this is a defensive thing. So if enemy ships fly into our home world or here and try to attack us, they have to destroy our star base before they can actually try to capture our colonists or kill our colonists. And they, as it mentions, that they're equipped with a lot of weaponry. These starbases automatically update with the newest technology we have. So if we discover like the fusion beams that I was talking about, if we research those, instead of using the crappy laser cannons, the starbase will upgrade to the fusion beam, which is going to be nice to have. However, what we want to do, I forgot about this, is get our research labs up and running at both of our colonies, because those are going to be extremely handy. And in fact, I'm just going to buy this one, because it's going to take 5 turns. In fact, I'll just do that for both of them. Do it for both of them. So down here in research, we have 28 research being generated right now. I want you to see what happens in a turn once both research labs are up and running. Let's put them on doing... Let's have the biosphere being built by the automated factory. And same thing here. We'll get that going. Now our research is up to 44. So we've really increased our research output, which is going to be very advantageous for generating new research discoveries. And as we discover new research, we'll find other advantages as well. So far we haven't ran into any other colonies, which is nice. Any other races, which is nice. Sometimes you run into them early on, it gets a little bit scary because they can be kind of aggressive. I think I want to go for deuterium fuel cells. I really like titanium armor early on. Oh, this guy's nice. Okay, Administrator Yota. He kind of reminds me a little bit of someone from a Star Wars movie, or, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 movies, in looks and in name, but the Elder Sensei. So what he can do for us, he's actually a colony leader, so we'll stick him to one of our colonies. He has this thing called Instructor, which is pretty nice. So it basically gives research points to our ships every turn just for him being there. And research points, what they do is, after enough research points, your individual ships can rank up, and when they rank up, they get a higher chance of hitting enemies with their weapons and a higher chance of evading enemy attacks. So just having him around can be helpful. He also is famous, and famous leaders encourage other leaders to want to join us just by having a famous leader with us, and they also decrease the cost of hiring those leaders by whatever amount, in this case 90 BC. So he can actually be really a worthwhile asset to keep around. And let's station him, let's go to colony leaders, station him on our home world of Altair. So he doesn't really do much there, but just by having him in our payroll, he's going to help encourage other leaders to join us, which is nice. What do I want to do on this planet? I think I want to work on colonizing this crappy radiated planet here. It's not amazing, but we can do that relatively easily with a colony base. At least for now, I'm going to start building up units of production towards it. Actually, do I want to do that? Thinking about this. I think housing is what I want to do. We have a lot of people that can live on this planet. It's a good planet, so we want to really push that if possible. I think I'll do the same thing here, try to max out the housing population. We've made our breakthrough. We've got our deuterium fuel cells, and this is going to get exciting now, I think. Let's throw on a Class 1 shield. This will be useful for our So here's what happens. We're greeted by another race. Uh-oh, man. Silicoids are annoying. Keep your worthless ships out of silicoid space, foolish Soupa. We will not tolerate any trouble from you or your kind. So, by discovering deuterium fuel cells, we've increased our radius to which we can explore. And increasing your exploration radius means that we can now communicate with other races that maybe fall in those planets nearby. And the silicoid are historically a very aggressive race. You can't really diplomatize with them at all. And they're going to be difficult. They're going to start attacking us early. Like, they tend to go after people early on. Not necessarily early on, but they will attack you eventually. So I'm going to explore, but I'm going to be cautious and be a little more defensive, maybe, knowing that they're nearby. Oh, so this is the Galactic News Network, GNN. Every now and then GNN pops up and gives you an update on the world, the game, what's going on, or or a random event that occurs. So a beast that exists partially in hyperspace has appeared. It is feared that it will randomly destroy your ships in hyperspace for an indefinite period of time. I hate these things. So basically, anytime we move our ships, there's a chance it'll eat one of our ships. So I tend to not fly around much because I don't like them eating our ships. I'm going to save a game. Let's do Super 1. It does autosave, which is really nice. Like, we're on 3505.8, and 2 turns ago, 3505.6, it saved the game for us, which is nice. I have no idea why I just said invalid. That was weird. Okay, looks good. So I tend to not fly around during hyperspace beast appearances. It's a pretty low chance, like every turn, maybe if you have one ship, that ship is like a 10% chance of being eaten, but it's painful to lose a ship like that, so I'm not going to mess with it. Class 1 shields. So shields are separate from armor, of course, and the shield will regenerate each turn, and they're actually really useful, so it's nice to get some shields up and running when possible. What else do I want to do right now? I think... This is where I always have trouble in this part, because a part of me wants to focus on things that will improve my economy, like things that generate more food, productivity, or research, right? On the other hand, now that I know I'm near the silicoids, I kind of want to build up my ship, my army a little bit more, and so I'm considering going for more defensive or weapon-focused builds right now, which is why I like battle pods a lot. They're really, really useful for a lot of reasons, and I think I'll grab them. They make our starbase especially very powerful. Let's check how our planets are doing. Is there anything I need to build or want to build? I sometimes lose track of what I'm building. Let's get a colony base up and running. I'm going to try and do that as soon as possible on this planet. And I think I'll do the same thing here. The reason being that, now that I know... Oh, maybe a starbase. Let's start building on both these planets. Colony base and a starbase. Now that I know that we're nearby some bad guys, and the hyperspace beast was here, but that's gone now, which is great, so we can travel safely. But now that I know I'm near some potentially aggressive enemies, it would be nice to really consolidate and build up on each star system, because it's easier to defend fewer star systems than it is to expand outward and defend. Oh, here we go. So we got another colony leader, spiritual leader. Morale increases of 15% is nice. I put that person on a planet, and automatically the planet gets a 15% boost in everything it does, or that whole star system does, which is really significant, actually. Diplomat doesn't matter much for the silicoid, but this will increase my chances of offering a diplomatic treaty with another race and them agreeing. That's useful. And the famous trait I already mentioned, so we'll hire her. So what I'd like to do now is put her on Altair, which will increase productivity over there, and then I'll put Yota with the T, not the D, over on Irem. While that's going on, okay, we explored another planet, or another star system. It's just gas giants, pretty much worthless to us. Let's check out what's over here. Natives, these are great. So humanoid life has already begun on this world. When you land on the planet, you integrate them into your colony. Once integrated, they may only work the farms and will not leave the planet to colonize elsewhere. They do not gain any racial bonuses. That's a really good planet to pick up, because they make a lot of food, and they make it it's nice. It's like I land, I'll have my 1 colonist from landing, and then I'll have 3 more colonists on food production right away. And that's really useful. So we're gonna do this. I'm gonna go get that planet as soon as I reasonably can. We're putting our colony base down in Altair, which is nice, so we finished that up. That's a radiated planet, as you can see. It's got this like kind of molten lava, kind of radiated looking ground. Not the most useful, but we're gonna start getting the factory and a few other things up and running. In fact, I'm gonna buy the factory to speed up the process because it's very slow building otherwise. Okay, I think we're in pretty good shape with all this. Captain Valar leveled up. He now has 10 weaponry and helmsmen. You might recall he had 5 for each before. That's nice. He'll do a little more for us when we put him on a ship, which we haven't done yet, but soon we'll toss him onto a ship. And let's buy our colony base here. Speed that up. Ooh, Sparky. He's cool. Okay, Commander Sparky, the Meklar Cybernaut. So he will join us for 0 BC per turn. And that's because we have those 2 leaders that have famous as their traits, so it makes him free to hire. And he only costs 1 BC a turn. He'll bring with him a few traits that are useful for ships, but what's really nice is he also comes with technology. So instead of researching advanced damage control on our own, he will do it for us automatically. Advanced damage control. No, let's. I'm losing track of what I'm doing. We built a colony base over at Irem. We're gonna throw it down, and we're gonna click through that. It's been colonized. Great. Automated factory, research lab, marine barracks. Seems good. So, let me show you this. It's construction, advanced damage control. So when you go into combat in the game, right now, what happens is if I defeat the enemy ships but my ships are damaged, they stay damaged until I get them back to one of my star bases for repairs. With advanced damage control, they automatically repair between battles, no matter where they're at, which is actually, honestly, kind of useful when I'm out and exploring or attacking enemies. So he just researched that for us, and he did that. If you look around like battle pods, we have 1, 2, 3 more levels before we get to that tier of research. So that's hugely valuable in my opinion to get that, which I'm happy with. Otherwise, where else can we explore? What else do we want to do? Let's send our scout over there, and this scout to this planet, and I was worried about that. So because these scouts have something called extended fuel tanks, it gives them a 50% larger range to explore. They can actually get to this Elvarad planet. However, the Nuclear 1 ship I made, I used up all the space on that ship for nuclear missiles, and it no longer has the extended fuel tanks, so it can't actually make it there. So I can't use that to defend my Elvarad colony, unfortunately. I'm thinking about what I want to do here. What I'd like to do is build an outpost ship, and I'll show you why in a minute. I'm just going to buy it. It'll be useful. So, what outpost ships do, they don't have any combat, they have extended fuel tanks, all they can do. When they can land somewhere such as here on Elvarad, they can set up a colony. And when they set up a colony, it means my other ships can now travel to that, because I've got a base set up somewhere. That's actually really useful. In a few turns, I will... Where's this guy going? Oh no, that's a big ship, and it's going to Elvarad? That's bad. It's very scary. We've explored Zin. Zin's got some kind of garbage ships, or planets. Nothing I'm losing sleep over. And Altair Prime has... oh, we finished its marine barracks. Good, good. Okay. Next in queue is a research lab. Where else can I explore? I think I'm about tapped out. I have a bad feeling about this star. I'll explain in a moment. Vespa has a few small planets, nothing great. Okay, so I think we're gonna hunker down. Oh, they got Elvarad? No. They took it. I was too slow. Even if I wasn't too slow, they would have taken out their battleship, probably. Okay. I need a fusion drive. This will speed up our ships a bit, and I need to start building more military ships, I think, because I'm getting a little anxious about that battleship that I saw. Let's buy these things, and then... Okay, research lab complete. For now, I'm just gonna do this. Okay. Let's see what this last star is here. The Guardian attacks Alkari at the Orion system. So this is like the gem of the galaxy, the Orion system. And it one-shot us. The Galactic News Network. Okay, here we go. Ships in your empire have recently visited the legendary Orion star system, and we got smoked. So the Orion special. If you're the first one to defeat the Guardian of Orion, you learn some very incredibly powerful research, and you also have a chance to colonize this amazing planet, Orion 4, which is a huge planet. It's Gaia, so you get like very high food industry and research output. It's ultra rich. It's just a great planet, so you want to nab that bad boy if you can. We unfortunately just lost our little scout, sadly, but that's okay. Now what I want to do is, let me check something here. I want to add battle pods to this thing and stack a few more. I'm going to call it the Nuclear 2, and we can get rid of our electronic computer. It doesn't help us with guiding missiles, and we have a class 1 shield now, which is handy. I want to build a few Nuclear 2s. I'd like to have a few extra ships floating around. Some news. The Sacra, we haven't met them yet, have 4 star systems. That's pretty expansive. And I'm going to reject that guy. we can only have 4. I think about this. Yeah, he's not really that useful. I'm going to keep him. He'll stay there for 30 turns, so I could always grab him later. He's not that useful. Let's go grab this Papyri planet. We do need to keep expanding before we fall behind too far, and that's one of the best ways to do it. Arid, abundant, 9 population, decent planet, we'll take it. We'll keep the name. Automated factory, research lab, marine barracks. Can't buy it because I don't have the money for it just yet. We're food production, we're actually negative now, that's bad. So we need to actually generate more food. And the best way to do that is probably here on our main planet. We'll send someone over to work on that. What are they building here? Nothing? Is that good? Let's at least get housing going. And do I want... I'm not going to worry about a starbase just yet. I'll leave that be. Okay, we got our couple of Nuclear 2s up and running. Okay, that's good. This planet is almost maxed out on population, so it's about 13 and 14. And it'll just do trade goods. So with trade goods, any extra productivity is put towards generating more BCs per turn, which is also useful. In fact, we can click on this. We can actually raise our tax rate. So if we go to 50% tax rate, you'll see our BC jumped from 16 to 31. What that basically is doing for us is reducing our productivity by that amount and increasing our money generation by that amount. So we'll leave it be for now. I usually don't do that unless I really need to. We've done our fusion drive research, and fusion drive increases the speed of our ships. It's going to be useful when we're getting into combat and we're dealing with enemies and trying to chase down enemies or beat them somewhere, especially defensively. Now, I think at this point, I'm looking at what's left. Space Academy might be worth just getting done with. It opens up to other things that are very useful. I don't value highly experience points, honestly. It's nice to have a leader that gives you experience points, but I don't really worry too much about space academies. On the other hand, things like battle scanners are really good for our starbase. It increases their chance to hit by 50% for beam weapons, which is very significant. And tech and communications gives us more command points, so that we can have more ships without having to pay a penalty. These are all useful. I think going with battle scanners. What other planets would I maybe want to, or star systems would I maybe want to colonize? Maybe Kenyan? I like to try and plan a little bit. This one maybe, even though there's 2 small planets, they might be worth taking a look at. We can go to info, by the way. Go to, what is it? History graph. And we can look here, just population, right? So we're only seeing the races that we know. That's ourselves and the Silicoid. Our population is crushing them pretty nicely, which is great. That's good news for us. Look at buildings. They've recently, apparently, started building a ton of buildings the last few turns, but we're It's barely edging ahead of them. Fleet strength, this is the problem. Okay, so you see that big bump there for them. That's probably when they completed their battleship. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to beat us if we get into combat, but it means they have a good chance at beating us. And then finally, tech. We do have a tech advantage, thankfully. So this is why our ships may beat them, because maybe we have better technology than their bigger ships do. Overall, we are leading them on the history graph, but this isn't a guarantee. It's just a rough estimate. What are we building? I guess I could keep track of this. Maybe I should put this automated factory purchase in. That would speed that up quite a bit. Okay. And we finished our marine barracks over here. So, what's the population of this planet? 2 of 4. I think I'll start building the star base. I think we need the star bases up. Like I said, it's an aggressive enemy we're facing, and being ready for that is important, I think. I'm gonna stick more research over here. And we got our breakthrough. We got our battle scanners, which will help our star base quite a bit. Now, pollution processors. As you build more, use more productivity, generate more productivity, you unfortunately will start generating waste, and waste eats into your productivity. You have to spend some productivity removing waste, and that gets annoying. I'm going to do that for pollution processors. Now the other thing I want to mention, I don't know if I explained this. If we go to our ship design, we go to design, then nuclear 2, you may have noticed earlier when I went to nuclear missiles, there were no options down here. But now there's this, and actually a little bit earlier, but I didn't mention it, there's this ECCM, heavily armored and fast option. For example, heavily armored missiles, they increase the cost and space of the missile by 25%, but they provide you with a missile that take twice as much damage to destroy. So when you fire a missile in combat, people can actually shoot them down mid-flight. This makes them harder for them to do that. Now the other thing is it requires 1 level of refinement to be used. Refinement means that if we discover nuclear missiles as the very first field of research in that category, and I'll show you that in a second. Let's go over here. A lot of menus to click through. If we go to this, we go to chemistry. I don't think you can actually go back. So we had nuclear missiles already discovered when we started the game. Then we did 1 more level of chemistry. That's a level of refinement. If we research this pollution processor, which is what I'm working on now, we will actually get a 2nd level of refinement. That'll open up another option for our missiles called MIRV, M-I-R-V, and that actually makes your missiles really, really dense in the sense that they basically deal 4 times as much damage but only take up 50% more space. And I want to get to MIRV missiles. It's really important to get MIRV early on and build a lot of small missile ships with those ridiculously powerful missiles attached to them. So we need to get a little more refinement to get to that point. We can see here we're actually short on freighters. We have -1, so I need to unfortunately take a moment to build a freighter before we run out. We're transporting a lot of food to these planets that don't farm or can't farm, so we need to get our freighter fleets up and running. In fact, I'll just buy it, and then we'll be good to go. Freighter fleet built. Thank you. Research lab up and running. Good. Now let's get those MIRV missiles. Alright. We've got them, and I'll explain that again in a moment. I'm going to do Space Academy. I want to get down the sociology line soon. And we go to colonies. Let's go to Altair 2. Let's go... We'll put a pollution processor up. And I'm going to design what I'm going to call the Nuclear 3. Again, we don't need the computer. It automatically defaults putting computer back. We can now do MIRV. So MIRV, they carry 4 separate warheads per missile that I add to my little build list over here. And it doubles their costs. That's what it is. So you spend twice as much space and money to build them, but they do 4 times as much damage when they land. That's really good. So we're going to do... make some MIRV missiles. We only get 2. We don't have enough space otherwise, even with the battle pods, but it's still worth it. And we could also put on like a small laser cannon, maybe? Is that true even? Yeah, we could put on a small point defense laser cannon, but I don't think it's worth it. I think we're going to stick with the nuclear 3s altogether, and hope that these guys will carry our army for us. Now, this is what I was talking about, pollution. If we go here, click on this, we see we're actually losing 11 points of production for the pollution penalty, which is significant. Instead of generating 33 production, we only generate 22. So a third of our production is being eaten up by pollution. The pollution processor will reduce that to some extent, which is going to be really useful. Okay. Marine barracks, let's do another biosphere over here. Even though it's a little bit early to do that, I select to get them up and running. And we've got our space academy built, or our researched at least. Everything now is at 400 research points or more. I like soil enrichment. Every farmer we have will now put out one more food output on a planet in which we build soil enrichment. It's useful, so I'm going to do that. Another mega wealth director. So he actually increases our labor by 20%. So any planet we put him on, they do 20% better productivity, which is really useful. And he's also going to give us 10 BC per turn just for being in our payroll. So we're going to grab him, and I think I'll put him on IREM, and then we'll move Yota to Pipiri. I think that's a good idea. And what I want to do, I want to wrap up this episode very soon. Is this a... Yeah, let's do this. Let's move this guy here, move this here. Let's save the game. I'm going to end in a moment. Oh, more news. A major industrial accident on Pipiri has irradiated the entire planet. Intense radiation levels threaten to kill millions of civilians in your empire. That's in Pipiri. And elsewhere, ranking of space fleet strengths. I have the weakest of the four races. That's not a good sign. That tends to happen a lot to me. So for Pipiri's industrial spill, the only way to cure that is to put more people on production and hope that it gets cleaned up. We'll see if that happens. And I moved the one guy over that we can move, can't really do much else. And that's gonna have to be good enough. Let's move one of these guys over. We need a little more food. Alright. I'm trying to figure this out. If I send this here, I'm gonna save the game, and I'm gonna like quick save essentially here. I just want to show you something. We're gonna wrap up now. I'm gonna do another episode of this very soon. Select a planet. Let's go here. Okay. Let's try to move to Elvarad. We finished housing, it's fine. I want to show you some combat. So they have one battleship, we have 4 frigates. Let's take them on at their planet. They don't have any defenses on the planet. So this is the way this looks. We can scan them. So this guy has titanium armor and no shield. So he's the smallest, like the weakest you can be for this class of ship, which is nice. We can maybe actually get through this guy. He has 6 interceptors. These things are kind of deadly. They're going to basically one-shot each of our ships when they get to us, but they move kind of slow. He has some standard laser cannons. They won't do a lot to us. They probably will miss. And he has 2 point defense laser cannons. Those will shoot down our missiles as they get closer. And the nuclear bombs are only good for blowing up planets, in this case, and he's not going to be able to blow us up. Plus 50 attack, plus 40 beam defense. If we scan our ships, we have plus 140 beam defense. That's because we're smaller ships and we're fast ships, and we have a natural, the Alkari have a natural beam defense. That's going to be really helpful. If he lands any of his beam hits, we're going to die, so as long as we dodge them all, we'll be okay. So we're going to move up this little guy, and we're probably going to miss, but let's see if we can land a hit on him. Yeah, missed. Okay, we're done with this guy. We're going to move up our nuclear 2. There's our little nuclear missile. We're going to cross our fingers that lands. Now here's the one that I'm really excited about, is the nuclear 2, the nuclear 3. This is the one with the MIRV missiles. If those land, he's probably a dead ship. It will probably kill him. And finally our other nuclear 2. Let's press done and see what this guy does. He's shooting down our missiles as best he can, but we did land 32 damage of missiles, which took out a lot of his armor, so that's a good start. What are these targeting? Target nuclear 3, okay. Let's get as close as we can. The closer you get, the better chance your beam weapons hit, generally. 1 point of damage, okay. Let's get as close as we can with the nuclear 2, dump some more missiles on him. The nuclear 3, when we get this close to him, his interceptors are going to hit us. So as a warning, if we go closer, they will automatically attack us. I don't want to get any closer, I'm just going to fire my missiles from right here. can't see them, they're kind of buried under there. And we're gonna get our last nuclear 2 up here close. I think we're gonna take him out this turn. Yes, got him. Unfortunately, his ship exploded and wiped out some of our ships. Now we can drop bombs on them. We only have 1 bomb, so we have very small ships. Let's try and bomb them. Nothing happened. And now they are going to declare war on us, on the Elverad system. Or on us for attacking the Elverad system. Alright, we built another nuclear 3. Let's get a space academy up and a nuclear 3. And now what do we have left? Yeah, a nuclear 3 and nuclear 2. Now, I'm going to save the game again. I mean, maybe we'll continue here. I usually don't attack that aggressively. I just want to show a little bit of combat. Let's do one more turn. And let's skip this. First of all, he is sending in everything they have at us now because they are mad. And they've got like a lot of little ships, but they're attacking us now. The other thing, we can go to here and go to fleet. And we can see we took a huge chunk out of their total fleet. I mean, that was like maybe 20% of their entire fleet strength. We just took it out in 1 turn. Which just feels pretty good. Anyway, we're going to stop here for today. We'll come back next time, and we're going to maybe we'll pick up where we left off. I hate getting into war this early. We're not ready for it. We're probably going to get smoked eventually, but we'll at least pick up somewhere close to around here and see where we go. But anyway, this is Master of Orion 2, Battle at Antares. This is my favorite game of all time. I can sit here and play this game for hours. Every few months I pick it up and play it for a few days on and off. I really love this game. And it's available, like I said, on Steam, Good Old Gaming, I think Green Man Gaming, whatever, pretty much everywhere. And it's like $5 or $10, I think. You can pick it up probably on like sales for the holidays soon. But anyway, that's all for today, and that's all for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.